Here's a question for you. Are you heading to the fridge too much while working at home or eating because you're bored or stressed? The COVID-19 pandemic has had various effects on people, and food could be playing a big part on how we are all handling it. Registered dietitian Andrea Hallwegner joins us this morning to talk about some of the eating issues that have cropped up during these challenging times. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning. Yes, as our heads are full and our hearts are a little heavier during this time, what we're seeing with our clients that we're working with virtually right now is just some more emotional eating and lots of what I call kind of like a free-for-all in everyday eating habits. So we've lost a little bit of structure to our day.
Okay, so how do we get our structure back into that? I think first and foremost is realizing that we should still have meal times instead of just constantly going back and forth to the pantry.
Yeah, I think sometimes people will say, Andrea, I can't stop eating. I'm stressed. I'm just stuffing down all of the uncomfortable emotions happening. And the first thing we need to do is tease out whether we're talking about emotional stress eating or we're actually talking about the fact that just their everyday meal structure and their meal planning has just gone to the wayside. And so first thing to do is really think about, first of all, keeping it super simple. When we're overwhelmed, we don't need to get fancy right now. So when we're thinking about meal planning, stick to your 3 core meals a day, maybe some snacks, but at least start with a breakfast, a lunch, a supper, which may sound so obvious, but what we're seeing with people is just a grazing all day and really not an ability to know whether you're hungry or full because we've just lost a bit of structure to the day. And so keeping it super simple, a grain or a starch, some fruits or veggies, and a source of protein in those balanced meals. Doesn't matter what you have in the house, but if you can knock off those 3 components, this is a really good place to start. And then the second thing is using what I call the timing technique. And the timing technique is really being mindful of the frequency of how often you're eating. And so the timing technique says this: eat 3 to 5 hours throughout your day. So this means, for example, if you've eaten your breakfast at 9, which is maybe a little later because your family's sleeping in a little bit, this means somewhere between 12 and 2 o'clock, we need to have that second meal coming in. And then again, counting out 3 to 5 hours later, and really making sure your family is aware this is what we're going to do. Put it up on the fridge even, so everyone's kind of has a clear sense as to when sort of your new family meal planning is going to be happening.
One of the biggest, when you've alluded to, depression, anxiety, stress, whatever level of that mental health that you may be struggling with, it can go both ways. And I find that I overeat, I find that my wife undereats. How do you manage that stress while still giving yourself some permission to contribute with some food?
Sure. And first of all, emotionally eating is something we all do. And, it doesn't matter who you are, we've all eaten for comfort before. And so right now, we do have to cut ourselves a little bit more slack, that's something that's going to show up a little bit more often probably than usual. But by the same token, what we want to do is really make sure we've got those balanced meals coming in and we're eating every 3 to 5 hours in a structured way versus a grazing way, which really gives ourselves permission to just kind of eat whenever, whatever, and make poor choices. If we don't have structure to the day, that ends up being what we see happening. And so the best thing that you can do for your family is kind of be the role model of your family. If everyone's kind of lost their way a bit, is really take charge of putting some meal planning in place. We all thrive better on a bit of structure, a bit of routine. And we know, of course, that's going to be really important just from an overall productivity perspective as we're working and schooling from home. And yes, we're probably going to be maybe overeating a bit more. In some cases, a lot of our clients, when they're stressed, undereat. Cutting yourself a little bit of slack for that. But again, really working on that structure is number one throughout your day.
One of the hardest things to find in the grocery store shelves any given day are baking supplies, and that may become a trend that, at least for some of those comfort foods, it is a way for us to at least de-stress, have some comfort food, but also spend time together with kids and other family members.
Yeah, one of the cool things that's happened through this whole thing as a dietitian is actually watching the fact that people are cooking more. And this is a fantastic thing. Well, what I'm going to encourage you to do is not just teach your kids how to bake brownies and cookies and all of those wonderful comfort foods. I want you to teach them the fundamentals of some of the most important skills they need from a life perspective about what to cook for supper. So we want to use this time, this gift of time where we're all under the same roof, to teach them how to make some of your family recipes, or maybe try something you've never done before. So for example, if your family's never made homemade mac and cheese, this is the time to go onto YouTube, get a great video, and learn to cook a few of those family favorites from scratch, because when your kids move out from school, they're going to have some really great life skills above and beyond just knowing how to make brownies.
Hey, my kids know how to boil water and make ramen noodles, so there's a start there. But I think I should take your advice and move them toward other things. Andrea, thank you so much. It's some great information and sort of a great reminder to keep our mental health with our nutrition forefront.
You bet. And on our blog right now, I just posted this morning 30 different meal ideas for COVID cooking. So if you need some ideas on what to make, you can go over to healthstandnutrition.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea, so much. Always a pleasure to have you, and some great information for us to take away. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.